The IRL hits the front page in the sports world. Tonight, what Hoosiers are saying about Danica's spotlight.
Some light rain showers today. The intensity of those will pick up. We'll time that out. Plus, how high the temperatures will climb for Saturday and Sunday.
Next on 24-Hour News 8 at 10 on UPN Indiana. The hostage situation in Shelbyville comes to a deadly end. You'll hear how it all played out in the words of police and the victim. They serve and protect how fellow officers are honoring those who lost their lives in the line of duty. Also hear why the mayor and governor are fighting over $48 million, and it involves the new stadium. Plus, the pace picks up for Danica Mania. 24-Hour News 8 at 10 starts now.
From Wish TV, this is 24-Hour News 8 at 10 on UPN Indiana.
One family will sleep peacefully tonight.
I didn't think he was going to let me go.
Another family is in mourning.
He was killed by the police. He was murdered.
Tonight, the Shelby County hostage ordeal is over. Tammy Smith praises police for getting her out after 19 long hours. An Ohio man took her hostage at the end of a police chase Wednesday. Eric Halverson is on the story and joins us now. It ended in gunfire, though they tried for hours to negotiate their way out of this.
Yeah, you know, they tried over and over to talk Dennis McInich out, but they never convinced him to surrender, so they decided his time was up at 6 this morning.
This was the end of the ordeal. Troopers moving in to rescue Tammy Smith. She'd spent 19 hours in that Shelby County convenience store with this man, Dennis McInich of Cincinnati.
He was really an okay guy to me, besides holding the gun to my head. I mean, he seemed normal, like a normal guy.
He led police here after a chase from Batesville. They said they were suspicious of him after a string of robberies.
Brother, he was a good man. He had a lot of problems with the law, but he had a big heart, and I know he would not hurt nobody.
But McInich took a hostage. 29-year-old Tammy Smith had just come to the Bigfoot for a newspaper and some pop.
Because he kept reassuring me that he wasn't going to hurt me, but when after all those hours, things would get desperate. And
her husband waited outside as people gathered to pray. Police say they thought they had a deal with McInich to at least let Smith go to the door for a cell phone.
But ultimately, the suspect has full control over whether he's going to survive this and be able to face his day in court or make decisions that result in the end of his life. Mr. McInich made decisions that resulted in the end of his life.
Police were able to rescue Tammy, but John McInich says his brother deserved more time. Terry and her husband praised the police, saying they did what they had to do to get her out of there.
Tammy Smith says McInich had wanted to call his family and make sure his daughter knew that he loved her. John McInich said he's glad Tammy was not hurt, and he apologized to Smith's family. And at the same time, he said naturally he wishes his brother had made it out okay, too.
Eric, thank you. Clearly, police negotiators played a vital role in the standoff. Those who know that job say it requires patience, skill, and extensive training. Here's what we've learned. Indiana negotiators must have at least 5 years of police experience. They must pass oral and written tests. They have psychological testing, 40 hours of schooling, and an annual training with a SWAT team, also state training. Mike Thayer is the president of the State Association of Negotiators. He calls what he does active listening.
They may be saying something verbally, but you may hear fear in their voice, you may hear anger in their voice, and those are the things you're trying to pick up on.
Thayer says each situation is
Ride home from a NASCAR driver. See who's behind the wheel of a local cab.
For the 16th time this season, temperatures were in the low 90s this afternoon, but changes are on the way.
Plus, the ATV accident that took the life of an Indiana teen tonight on 24-Hour News 8 at 10.
You're watching WNDY UPN.
spurred by violence. A community comes together with leaders looking for answers.
A dramatic fire rescue is caught on tape. Video you'll see only on News 8.
Coming up, why this purple wristband and Kurt Busch could be your key to a safe ride home in Indianapolis tonight.
Also, Jennifer Aniston opens up for the first time about the end of her relationship with Brad Pitt.
24-Hour News 8 at 10 starts now.
Live from Wish TV, this is 24-hour News 8 at 10 on WNDY UPN.
Good evening. Tonight, people packed a West Side church to try to tackle one of our community's most troubling trends.
In just a few short months, more young people have died violently in Indianapolis than often do in an entire year. In the search for solutions, many of the city's most powerful people joined hundreds of its most passionate residents.
Outside the meetings of Project Safe Neighborhoods, a spotlight often shines. But inside, a standing room only crowd of several hundred, that's a first. Then again, this is no typical summer.
The very deep sadness we all have is that we've had so many kids killed in the last couple of months.
Spurred by violence, familiar faces of all levels of government, law enforcement, and clergy joined citizens from all over the city to search for solutions.
Those solutions will only occur when we decide to stop doing things the same way and begin to think a new thing, to do a new thing, and to be a new thing.
Organizers gave only 2 orders.
Remember, taking all the visits, you have to go to the ASO website. You can get that website through our website, wishtv.com. News 8's Marley Ginter live downtown.
The U.S. Army is confirming tonight what iTeammate first reported about Indiana's weapon of mass destruction more than a year ago. 2 issues tonight. The Army says the waste left over after destroying the VX nerve agent is more flammable than first thought. And tonight, the Army has stopped destroying the VX. The Army had first said the byproduct was similar to Drano. Well, now new tests at the Newport, Indiana depot show it is highly flammable. iTeammate research shows the high flash point would make what the Army first called Drano more like kerosene. Sticker shock at the pump, with prices taking yet another jump. News 8 has ways you can save more when filling up.
The 5-day forecast has looked the same all week long. Heat, humidity, the possibility for thunderstorms. Let you know if that's going to change as we look ahead to the weekends.
Tonight on 24-hour News 8 at 10.
The devastation, the anger, the frustration.
The life we know of is no more.
Officers are armed, but the looting and lawlessness goes on. The dangerous diseases lurking in the floodwaters, the thousands of refugees. Hear from those that have fled to Indiana, the relief effort, what the government is planning. And think gas prices are high here?
Here are the latest developments from Katrina's aftermath. Evacuation efforts at New Orleans Superdome are not going well. There are fights to board buses to Texas, and more storm refugees keep arriving.
In Biloxi, thousands of people are living in schools and other buildings they now call home, all along the coast. The Red Cross and National Guard have delivered some food and water, but most say they need much more. Our team coverage begins with Manuel Gallegos live in Kenner, Louisiana, with how people are surviving.
Well, with New Orleans once again in total darkness and thousands of people still stranded in the city, the situation is desperate. Help is arriving, but the need is so great and widespread that many are going without. With thousands of people stuck in New Orleans with nowhere to go, parts of the city have descended into chaos. In a desperate evacuation effort, search teams rescued more hurricane victims and flew them to dry land. Evacuees who wandered for blocks in waist-deep water told harrowing tales of survival.
We've been trying to get off the project for the last 4 days. We have SOS shirts, Rescue Me shirts, and everything. We ran out of water, no food. We thought we was going to die today.
Frustrations reached new heights as thousands waited for buses to leave the city. There are reports of angry looting mobs, rapes, and corpses laying in full view. To quell the violence, the government is sending in 1,400 extra National Guards.